Hello drummers, Gary Williams is back, and today for my Facebook Live video I want to talk with you about rudiments. There's been quite a bit of discussion in the group on rudiments. A lot of people are just starting to get into them, considering practicing them more. There's a couple of people in the group that actually have been doing them for quite a while and seem to be able to use them. I myself have practiced rudiments quite a lot in the past, but I'm just going to give you a little overview about rudiments. Rudiments were traditionally used in military marching bands, or actually back in the Civil War days, as a form of communication. No electricity, so in order to kind of get the troops to stop marching or to start marching in the morning, they would play these different kinds of cadences, which would be a signal that you could hear off in a distance. A lot of these rudiments in the early days were just sort of passed down by word of mouth. And then eventually an organization of 13 gentlemen called the National Association of Rudimental Drummers, or NARD for short, formed the first 13 official rudiments. And then I think within a couple of years later, the same group of gentlemen got back together and formed the second 13 essential rudiments. And those two bodies became the 26 standard American drum rudiments. Now, those were the rudiments I began practicing. Now, shortly after I started working on them, there was actually some Swiss rudiments that were starting to come into the rudimental language. And then they added a few more things to the standard 26 American drum rudiments. There was about 10 Swiss rudiments. So now we have what's called the 40 international drum rudiments. And the Percussive Art Society has put these together. And there's actually 4 families of rudiments. The first family is called the roll family. The second family is the diddle family, as in paradiddle rudiments. The third family is flams, and the fourth family is drags. There's actually 15 roll rudiments, 4 diddle rudiments, 10 flam rudiments, 10 drag rudiments, and 1 rudiment is called a flam drag, so it's a blend. Now, what I started doing when I did, I'm just going to tell you my little story. I'd heard about rudiments, just like most everybody. And when I was in early high school, I used to go up to the college, which was in my hometown, because there was a jazz studies director who was a drummer, a professional drummer. And whenever I would see him, he'd say, "Practicing your rudiments, son." And of course, I didn't really do that because they're kind of boring. I would just rather play along with some recordings and rehearse and work on songs with my band. But rudiments were just kind of a drag. However, I knew by watching other drummers. I was in middle school and I was taken to a Buddy Rich concert, and to me that was just like magic. To see somebody play like that, I couldn't believe it was even possible. So I had an early inspiration to knowing that I wanted to have a lot of facility, a lot of chops, as we call it, on the drums. So I knew I probably would never get there unless I practiced rudiments, but I was still not excited. So what happened is a good friend of mine, who was like a few years ahead of me in high school, in front of people said, "So Gary, you practice your rudiments, don't you?" And I said, "Well, no, not really." And he goes, "What? You don't practice your rudiments?" Kind of made me feel stupid and ashamed and pissed me off. But what it did is it actually motivated me. It was like one of those friends that makes you mad, but it's actually a really good friend in the end, because they give you a boot in the buns and you go, "Okay, I'm going to do this." So I started practicing my rudiments at the drum set. That didn't last long because, when you have a whole set of drums in front of you, you're just going to run off into drumland and have fun playing the whole thing and not focus on just the snare drum. So I looked across the band room one day and I said, "That's a good spot." I picked up the snare drum, moved it away across the room, and told myself, "When you're done doing your rudiments, then you can go back and play that drum set." And that's exactly what I made myself do. I said, I can't practice the drum set until I do all my rudiments. So I actually started with the 26 standard American, 10 Swiss rudiments. So I was doing that, almost 40, and I was doing them every day. This lasted about 45 minutes to an hour, and I did this for about a year and a half nonstop. And oh man, talk about getting angry. I can remember one time being so frustrated at the paradiddle, and then eventually by learning a rudiment called, I think it's a single drag tap, I understood how to play the paradiddle faster. So there's all these things that go on with rudiments that can really enhance your knowledge of how to play the instrument. The Percussive Art Society has put together a sheet of what's called the 7 essential rudiments. And so what they have is the first 4 different kinds of roll rudiments. Then they have the first of the diddle rudiments, the paradiddle, then a flam, drag, and they also have the rudiments that are roll rudiments are single stroke, double stroke, multiple bounce, and 5-stroke. So I would recommend those. In fact, I'll put a link below for you to go check out the 7 essential rudiments on my YouTube channel. I play them all match grip, and then I do have some that I'm doing now with traditional grip. So when it comes to playing the rudiments, there's no real easy way to get into it. You just have to make the decision that this is something that's important to you. I was in marching band in high school, and that was really a great experience because I got to play the snare drum and work on cadences, which is really just involved with rudiments. So a little bit about technique that you're probably going to end up developing when you start practicing rudiments is that there are really only 3 kinds of strokes: single strokes, double strokes, and multiple bounce strokes, which is 3 or more strokes. Okay. When it comes to playing with techniques, there's an upstroke, a downstroke, and then a tap stroke. When it comes to grip, there's a front hand grip, a mid hand grip, and a backhand grip. When it comes to techniques, when it comes to playing the rudiments, you've got all wristed movements, a wrist bounce blend, and then all relying on rebound. So I go through some of this stuff in my educational videos if you're interested, but there's a lot of little secrets that I picked up over the years, having studied a number of videos, having some really great teachers. I'm way into technique, so I really enjoy talking about rudiments. The one thing I'm going to say about rudiments is that a lot of times when people start practicing them, they really think they're not very fast, and that may be true. But my discovery is that most drummers actually lack coordination more than they lack speed. So once they learn how to coordinate the body, they actually can accelerate their hands faster. So if there's any of those kind of things that sound appealing to you, private message me, because I have quite a bit of knowledge and I can share with you some of the tricks I've learned to save you a lot of time and really help you develop your chops. So consider rudiments, and I will put a link to my YouTube channel, which has some, and there's also some videos showing you how to apply some of the rudiments to the drum set. So thanks for checking in, and I will see you guys on Thursday morning about 10:15 a.m. And if you have any questions, feel free to pipe them in during the live, and I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I wish you guys all the best, and I'll see you on Thursday.